Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Thomas Kimsey, Thomas, USAF. Thomas, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be here, Bob. Thanks for having me.
You're our expert on rural America. I think we've conned you into coming on once a month. It's a passion for you. It's a passion for me and a passion for a lot of people out there. It is so critical. Give us an overview of what's going on in rural America. I want to make a snarky comment, but you all know what I was going to say, so I'll just simply pass on that. But how's rural America doing?
Rural America's doing great, with our help and, as you said, Bob, our passion for rural America to provide access to capital, and that's what it's all about. And providing rural prosperity, that's what we're trying to do through the USDA guaranteed loan programs.
Give me a recap. Yesterday we did a recap of little known, I didn't know, 5 additional SBA, small business
Sure.
grants, opportunities. What is out there specifically for rural America? But let me take you a step backwards. First of all, define rural for us and then tell us what special opportunities there are.
Sure. So, the rural definition we use is 50,000 or less in population. That's what they use for the B&I program.
No, but 50,000 for a city, for county, for a
Well, as you know, the USDA program, you really have a mapping system. So you got to go on the map, you got to take that physical address and really look at it. But, that's generally what we're looking at is an area of less than 50,000 in population. I mean, it could be the city, county. I mean, you just got to plug in the address and look at it.
They'll tell you, right?
Tell you. So that's the first thing we look at when we look at eligibility. But the USDA, the B&I program that we're talking about specifically under rural development has had a great year once we've implemented the 1RD rule that we worked on a lot over the last 4 years that went in place last October. To date, there have been about $1.3 billion in obligations. The budget loan authority for last year was $1.2 billion. The agency's done a great job, was able to get some recapture, sweep some additional funds a couple of times in this fiscal year. So we've got an additional $600 million, which gives $1.8 billion to work with. But we've also got, so $1.3 billion has been obligated. We also got $500 million in the pipeline, Bob. So you can do the math. We think they're enough. The agency thinks they're enough to get through the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. But it may be a little tight, but they'll do another sweep here at the end of July, and hopefully we get some additional carryover that we can utilize.
Well, hey, Chris, thanks for joining us. We'll throw out some. I know, for example, you're involved with it in Savannah. Well, how in the world can Savannah be considered rural?
Well, there is some area down there that outside of the city, out in the county, that could potentially be eligible. So, that's the amazing thing across America when you look at the map. A lot of it's rural. So, it's
how
really
big is Savannah now? It's what size? It's the largest port on the East Coast, or
fastest growing port in the country. It's really amazing. Obviously, being here from Georgia, I know, but it's a huge economic generator. It's doing amazing things, and we're super proud that we have it here.
Yeah, and what's interesting also is I know you've done some warehousing down there, where you're warehousing food and stuff,
Sure.
and that rural, even though it's at the port. So
Absolutely.
Very good.
The other thing I'll just update quickly is that, we were successful through the National Rural Lenders Roundtable in our lobbying efforts to get an additional $500 million added to the B&I budget on the House side. The House Ag Subcommittee passed that. It's passed full House appropriation to go from $1.5 billion to $2 billion next year. It'll be voted on the full House next week, and we're working on the Senate side. We've requested $3 billion in their markup, and hopefully we're successful. We were super excited to get the $2 billion on the House side.
How is the utilization of the program? Are you going to run out of money? You're going to have sufficient through September 30th?
It's going to be tight this year, with the success of 1RD, but the agency's doing a good job managing that, and the additional sweep they'll do at the end of July. We're hoping that we get through September 30th, but may be tight. I'll leave it at that.
And what is RD again?
Rural development.
No, 1RD. I'm sorry.
1RD. I'm sorry. 1RD. 1RD was the new regulation that the that they put in place last year that replaced the old 4279 regulation, where they combined four guaranteed loan programs: the business and industry, community facility, the REAP, Rural Energy for America program, and the water and waste, that are known as WEP program, all into one RD regulation.
Well, great. Hey, we have some poll questions on this. Number one, have you funded a USDA B&I rural loan this year? I guess it should be an USDA B&I rural loan. But, there you go, one fourth.
Well, that's, yeah, sort of what I would expect.
Good. And for those who answered no, look into your local state. It is more complicated than SBA lending. Chris, have you done any rural lending utilizing the program through Fountainhead? You're on mute, Chris.
I said no, we haven't. We're not an approved lender to do USDA loans yet. So as a non-bank lender, there's some extra regulations we have to go through to become approved.
3 years, I think that's.
Yeah, we're past that, but there's other stuff that we have to.
Yeah, Mr. Patel.
Just
Mr. Patel, who was
non-bank lenders for a while.
who was in my backyard apparently. Yeah, although I never met him, but yeah, that wasn't good.
Well, last I heard he was in Oklahoma, so we'll see where he ends up.
I thought he was in prison at this point, or at least awaiting it.
Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there was a company, was Farmers, was Nick Patel, Farmers, whatever.
Farmers Financial, was that right? Something like that?
He did a $170 million fraud in USDA, and
caused a lot of heartburn and heartache, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think that's been several years. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think it started in the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s. But yeah, he was busted 4 years ago, something like that.
Oh, longer than that. Yeah.
I called it the immaculate construction because he had a lot of USDA B&I projects supposedly under construction that didn't even exist.
Closed the loans, construction loan. We closed them in one day and sold them to the secondary market the next.
Right, and completely changed the documents and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yes.
He'll be in jail for a while.
I think so.
25 years left.
Particularly because he tried to flee the country, which is another piece to this. This is a whole story. So, but if you're watching, you might want to look into this.
Well, I don't know who's going to write it first, Chris. Either you or I, but we're going to write about it.
Oh, I think I'll stay away from that one.
Yeah.
Number two, this is for Thomas, but please answer. Which is higher today, USDA B&I loan premiums or secondary market loan premiums?
I would think the 7As are. I mean, the B&Is are great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I know the 7As seem to be off the chart.
What are B&I premiums going for these days, Thomas?
Again, it's the function of the prepay and the rate, but you're
right.
Of 110. You can be in the 112. You could be 115. So, I mean, they're really good premiums.
Yeah,
they're not. They're not what I would say crazy. Like the 7As, but they're very.
You can call them crazy.
They're very good premiums. Don't get me wrong. They are. I mean, you can see some 115s, 116s, but.
Well, I mean, everyone's concerned about that when you have a 90% guarantee and you get 200 basis points selling it and you immediately book a profit without doing anything and you have no exposure. That's what we call a red flag. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just that SBA and the regulators and everyone in Congress is going to be taking a good hard look at are we doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Sure.
Well, I would take issue that it's crazy necessarily. I think it's a function of 20% larger guarantees and the fact that the fees are waived. I think those two things have inflated the premiums on the 7A.
Yeah.
Well said.
I can say crazy. You can't. All right.
Thomas and I don't want to quite
Yes.
editorialize on that. Yeah.
Call me. Call Coleman. Don't call Chris.
Oh, Bob.
Right.
How many PPP unforgiven denials have you received?
Do you mean unforgiven or do you mean partial forgiven, Bob?
I'm talking, I'll let you interpret it either way. Well, I'm talking total. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's still pretty high. But again, it's 1 of 5. I'll go over 20. I'll go with that as a fat finger response. I don't think anybody's had that. Hopefully not, or there are issues. Yeah, but most institutions are not getting full denials. Chris, you opened the door on that.
Yeah, I don't think we've
Partial
gotten,
denials.
yeah, I don't even know that we've got 5 complete full denials. We have probably a few dozen partial forgiven
Right.
loans. Yeah. But there's been, 99% of them are fully forgiven.
And there's nothing wrong with the partial. Then you just
Mhm.
amortize it out and
Right.
move on. So
Yep.
Well, very good. So we talked about the budget, Thomas.
Mhm.
Appetite on Congress. This program's always seemed to have been bipartisan.
Yes.
So there's still strong support. I had heard, by the way, the last Congress did not have a farmer in it for the first time ever. Is that?
That I don't think that's accurate.
True.
I'm trying to think of, I know there is, but I don't recall the name, but
Okay.
I know just being up in, up there, yes, there are some farmers, but I don't remember.
Isn't Sam Graves, the former House chair of the Small Business Committee, isn't he a farmer or part-time farmer? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe obviously I'm throwing that out there and I don't have my facts. So
We need to focus our efforts on no attorneys in Congress next. That would be helpful.
I think what I'm trying to get at is that we need to educate as an industry
Right.
how important the farmers are for the supply chain, for the food chain, and how
For sure.
important capital is for it. Yeah, we have the restaurants that were closed with the pandemic, but farmers face these type of crises every 2 or 3 years with droughts and floods and tornadoes.
Well,
Very, very difficult to manage. You can't manage the weather. You have to have the contingency for that, and you have to plan around that. So it's
that's
tough.
sort of a good segue for me to plug. Secretary Bill Sack and the administration announced last week they'll be coming out with an additional $500 million for meat processing, meat, poultry, for your smaller processors. They, as we saw during the pandemic, you don't want it all concentrated in a handful of processors. So there will be a program coming out, $500 million. We did have a call last week. We're not sure how it's going to be split up between, loans and grants and things of that nature and guaranteed loans. But that will be a pot of money that, we look forward to working with our meat and poultry processors to provide additional capital.
But number one use of proceeds is still hospitality, Thomas?
It's a large part of it, yes.
Yeah, that hotel on I-80, and I've always said you have a successful operator who's operating Spring Hill Suites, and they want to go and they're maxed out in SBA, and the I-80, rural Nebraska, and bam, there you go, qualified, and could be a nice project. What are you doing these days on construction, Chris?
We're being very careful.
Go ahead.
We're being very careful. Renovations are one thing, but ground-up construction, we're very cautious, as I suspect most lenders are.
What about your Thomas? What type of deals are you seeing?
Yeah, I would say, echo what Chris is saying. We're certainly seeing, I've seen in the last few months an influx of new construction opportunities, particularly on the hospitality side. So we're, taking a careful approach as well. I think there are some good projects, but I think you have to be very cautious.
Very good, very good. There's a new SBA Form 1086. And Joseph, I'm unfamiliar with this. You want to jump in on this, Joseph, and tell us what's happening?
Yes, this was announced last week at the Connect call, and I included this in the handouts. It's just they're changing the SBA Form 1086 for the secondary market.
It doesn't look like is it major or more cosmetic?
I think it
I
just
was gonna
makes
ask
things
Chris,
a little easier. Yeah, just cosmetic mostly.
Shane says Senator Grassley is a farmer, I believe Iowa, Again, Shane, I'm going to remember I said the House. So no, I did say Congress.
You said Congress. Yeah.
Damn it. Okay.
Somebody needs to research Sam Graves, though. I'm pretty sure he's a farmer. So
The
and
point
he's
is,
from Kansas, so very high possibility if he's from Kansas. And
I'll go back to this very few, and a lot of there's so many challenges in rural America, Thomas, with respect to healthcare infrastructure, in just basic internet, and now we're reading the stuff about construction booming all over the place in rural America. People who want to relocate. So there's a lot of challenge, and then the kids are leaving when they graduate and they're not coming back. So there's a lot of challenges in rural America.
I think that's what we're trying to do with providing us access to capital in rural America. Part of what we talk about is trying to end out migration, where you want to keep those kids in rural America. And but you got to have good health care once that hospital closes. And that's
how many rural hospitals have closed in the last couple of years?
Well, probably the last several years, I would say that number's several hundred. 50% of your rural hospitals operate, in the negative. That's something we work on a fair amount through the community facility program as well. I help the rural hospitals, and it's a big need. It's a big need.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's so there are a lot of challenges for rural America. And I always like when they talk about underserved markets, rural America is one of those buckets that they throw in from time to time. So I think that's very, very important. The activity is up. We had a typo in today's daily. I apologize for that. I think we meant to say programs, I think we said problematic. I think people figured out what we were trying to say. I do not anticipate the programs running out of money, or there would be an interruption. They may run out, but there'll be ways to fix that. Chris, do you see any interruption coming? We're coming up on about 2.5 months left in the fiscal year.
I don't think so. I mean, I think obviously 504's got 7.5 as their allocation or their authorization, and
which we haven't been close to in the past years.
No, it's never hit 7.5. So I think we're going to be okay. Although obviously the 504 is up this year substantially. After last year being up. 7A, I think we're going to be okay. I mean, and we have that 10% buffer anyway if it goes above. So, I think we're going to be fine. The question is, are we going to run out of funds for the 90% guarantee? I don't know.
That is a good question.
If we do, it'll just revert back to the 75% guarantee, I suppose. So, I'm not sure what the models show on that at the moment.
That's very good. Yeah, so that's a great point. I don't have an answer for that. And Thomas, you were saying it'll be challenging for B&I through the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're okay. We're okay right now, but I mean, the demand's there. As we get closer to September 1st, those last 30 days, could be tight. I mean, the agency's doing a good job managing that. We certainly appreciate that, but it may be a little tight there at the end of the last 30 days.
Last subject, Thomas, have you've always done that great annual event in Washington, D.C. Are you planning it this year? And obviously last year we didn't do it.
Yes. What are your thoughts right now? We are planning to do it, Bob, the 1st of December, and we'll work with you to get those dates out, and
okay, yeah, please
work with you on the secondary market roundtable that you do to try to put those together close together so we can have.
Yeah, we try to do this back to back. Okay, we should. It's a great event if you want to know about rural America. Thomas, there's no registration fee for that event. He gets the input from the B&I people in the past. We've gone to their offices. One year we had the nice lunch at it used to be the secretary's dining room. Now it's the people's dining room. I love that. The proletariat have taken over. Is it still the people's dining room?
It is. So we try to have a fly-in that day and the day before, and go up on Capitol Hill and do some lobbying and networking, and we look forward to getting back to it this year, getting everybody together.
Also get to know the people. Hey, Thomas, thank you very much. I appreciate you giving us an update. Chris, as always, good to see you. Thank you for telling us what's going on. And
good to see everybody.
Thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street and rural Main Street. one entrepreneur at a time.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.